At last, I'm going to share with you today some of my intuitive art. Art that changed shape and form as I made it, that was influenced by meditation, by music, and by my visions, and which most surprisingly revealed my deepest emotions. Hello, I'm Mel Pross from EnRichmbs, where you can follow my journey to enrich mind, body and spirit. Now, I had never tried doing any art before, except at school, way back when. But today I'm going to show you some of my intuitive art that was created before, during and after a trauma, which is actually the life-changing event that is the subject of this Mel's Journey series. So a few years before the trauma, I knew that underneath there was a deep unhappiness, and I used to go out walking across countryside and immersing myself in nature in my efforts to heal at that time. A very good friend of mine, who was an incredible artist, encouraged me to take up painting. Not to try to create a masterpiece, that wasn't going to happen, but just for myself, for fun. So I found that during this time of walking in nature, of meditating, I started to feel different. And I found that meditation affected my art. And also at that time, I started painting whilst listening to music with my headphones on, blanking out the world. I would simply take a blank canvas with no idea what music I was going to hear on the radio and no idea what I was going to produce. I just started painting. And when the music stopped and I'd step back to see what I'd actually made, each time, to my astonishment, I found that music had affected my art. And finally, with all these therapeutic practices that I was doing during these years, gradually I felt more and more connected to nature, more balanced emotionally, and more intuitive. And I started having lucid dreams and visions with profound personal messages and deep meaning. And I discovered that dreams affected my art. So now today I'm going to show you a collection of my art for the first time, and together they tell my story. They reveal the journey of my deepest emotions and feelings through my art during this important period of my life. I have grouped them together under the categories of pre-trauma era, trauma, post-trauma and new era. Here it is. My first piece of art relates to the pre-trauma era and is an example of my art affected by music. It involved the sea that literally changes before my eyes as I paint whilst listening to music. Therefore, my initial painting does not exist, of course, but to give you an idea of what it looked like, here is one of my photographs, which is very similar. So, I'm talking about a painting I call Dark Seas, but how it was created was narrow. I stared at the blank canvas. I wasn't sure what to paint. The music playing was relaxing, chill-out music, and I found myself painting a bright, sunny seaside. Going well, I thought. However, over time, the DJ started playing more dark, heavy drum and bass, and of course, I just kept on painting. It was only when I had finished the painting, stopped, and then took a proper look at the canvas that I realised how my painting had changed. sun had become dark foreboding skies. The gentle sea had become rough stormy waters, pounding and crashing against a huge jagged rock. The difference where it started and the end result was striking. They were like two. That's how I first realised how listening to music affects me whilst painting. The music affected my mood and emotions, which were then revealed through the painting. Little did I know I was about to discover how this power of art to bring out and express my deepest feelings was going to be one of my greatest therapies, challenging period of my life. Still in the pre-trauma era, this is my golden aura meditation pre-vision. So a few years before the traumatic event, I knew I was terribly unhappy and was under a lot of stress. I was spending any spare time escaping into nature, taking solitary treks and trying to recharge through meditation and affirmations. Then came a period of time where I kept getting an image in my mind of a beautiful golden planet. It was absolutely stunning, and in the end I just had to paint it. So one day I grabbed a blank canvas and some golden paint just to see what would happen. Well, there followed a focused art session, eagerly trying to get this image in my head down on canvas. And when I had finished, took a step back and looked at the result, here it was. I felt satisfied, almost relieved. What's really interesting though was that years later, this image was to form part of a new vision, which is still to this day the most powerful vision I've ever had, symbolising a major turning point in my life and with a deep personal message for me. I just had to paint that image too, which you'll see later. As we move into the trauma era, I call this painting Turbulence. Here I was attempting to paint another water scene, again to music. When the music had stopped and I stepped back to see properly what I had created, at first it looked like a peaceful scene. However, just below the surface, I could see great turbulence brewing. I knew not what was about to change my life forever. This painting is called Release. Now, at this time, I experienced a deeply traumatic event. In my attempts to heal the pain, I continued the nature walks, the meditations, and expressing myself through art. As this painting shows, my art became increasingly representative of my innermost feelings. This painting of wolves howling at the moon symbolises my pain that I felt at that time. But I also see hope, depicted by the pink moon. A deeply personal, powerful piece. I was unable to sell this canvas and it remains within the family. Still in the trauma period is this painting called Meltdown. So this follows yet another attempt to paint a peaceful seascape. But instead, submerged feelings arose symbolically through the water. This represents my self-image looking at myself in absolute horror as I appear to melt before very eyes. There is a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness during this process, as everything I saw as me was disappearing, whilst at the same time noticed the huge pink sky looming in the distance. Perhaps deep down I hadn't given up hope completely. How fascinating that this painting shows so graphically what was happening deep down within me at this time. As we move into the post-trauma era, this painting is called Watershed. A key feature in this painting is the central eye crying a sea of tears. But so much more was happening here. Now by this time, with daily meditations, prayers and affirmations, my dreams and visions had intensified, and I was clearly becoming increasingly psychic and empathic. One vision I had at this time was of a bright circle of fire spiralling inwards. A friend had once told me that this indicated a psychic ability. But what was most fascinating here was that I used to experience this spiral of fire when I was a child, years old. And here it was happening to me again at this key time up in this painting. The lost souls within the spiral depict my continued sense of loss and vulnerability, whilst I continued to heal as I moved forward, but coupled with my increasing healing and spiritually connectionally becoming stronger and starting to rediscover my true self. Still in the post-trauma era, here is my vision. This canvas depicts an intensely powerful visionary dream I had as I continued to work through a trauma and start rebuilding my life. It followed what was by now a legacy of sustained meditation and energy healing. When I fully awoke, I felt irresistibly compelled to paint, and so paint I did, in a flurry of sweeping moves, keen as I was to capture all the vision and emotions before my memory faded. So in my vision, I had awoken to find that an enormous golden planet filled the sky, so huge that it dwarfed the earth, so close you could almost touch it, and alongside it another slightly smaller, equally golden planet. What an alarming scene. Now, do you remember the visionary planet I had painted a few years before? Well, here it was again, exactly the same. Every person on the earth was looking up to the sky, running and screaming at this apparent apocalyptic event. But amidst the perceived catastrophe, the panic, the fear, I was in my own meditative state. See me on the right. I felt calm and peaceful and full of unimaginable awe and wonder. I felt sure that it was symbolic of new transformative beginnings. I just knew that it was all going to be okay. So I had walked, or rather floated, amongst the fearful crowd and tried to hush their fears by repeating, "It's okay, it's okay." I had a deep sense of a major turning point in my life around the corner, and I knew that life was not going to be the same again, and it in the best way possible. Because this journey, through its challenges, pushed me towards a whole new perspective on life, of personal growth, self-awareness and healing, which gave birth to EnRichmbs, and for the first time the confidence to be me, to express myself, share this with the world, and of course with you. As we move now into the new era, Here I introduce my mood art. And so it was forward that I noticed I had subtly and gently entered a new era. An era of mental, emotional and spiritual growth and expression. An era of mood art to this day. Golden Aura I'll be showing you today is my Golden Aura mood art. Perhaps there was a connection here with the golden planets in my paintings all those years ago. At that time I had seen and felt auras, so out came the golden colours, and in a semi-meditative state and a flourish of brush strokes, I finally result. I could see many stories being told here, and the perfectly depicts my mood at this time. Blue-pink mood art. Again, in a semi-meditative state, senses were filled with these colours. Blending into one another, this painting can be viewed in any direction you choose. Just tune into its energy. How does it make you feel? Purple mood art. Well, finally for today is my purple mood art. I felt sweeping lights across the sky. This makes me feel alive. So how about you? Why not give this a go for yourself? Time for yourself in a peaceful place. Daydream, meditate or chant, whatever makes you feel still and calm. Then take a blank canvas and just start adding whatever colours and strokes you like. Don't think about it, just feel. Just put those headphones on and start painting. There is no right or wrong with intuitive art. Just be you. Now, if you are as excited and hooked as I am by this amazing phenomenon that unfolded during self-healing and that continues to this day, you can find my intuitive art, in fact all of my art, on my Facebook page called The Intuitive Art of Mel Pross. And if you are intrigued by my visions and lucid dreams, which also developed through this period of deep healing, you can find these on my other Facebook page called Meditation and Its Effects. You can also find all the links in the description below. And also please like and subscribe. I appreciate your support to make more videos and continue to share my journey. So now I'm going to leave you with the art again as a silent slideshow. My name is Mel Pross from EnRichmbs, sending love.